Why is now the time to own the cloud?
You know, it's interesting being at this event, watching MSPs answer this question. And I
Mm,
think the MSPs don't have a choice. I mean, the cloud has been transforming their business for the past few years. And at the beginning stages of it, it was very much a threat until they embraced it, until all vendors of all sizes, of all types, started selling in the cloud. And I think in order to service their customers the right way today and tomorrow, by not being able to manage the cloud and understand the cloud, I feel that their businesses are actually going to become obsolete. And I think this hybrid motion is going to be here for some time. So it's not to say that on-prem or some hybrid motion is not going to work, but the reality is their users, their customers, most of the applications that they have are in the cloud. And
mm.
if they're not managing that, someone is going to for them.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I just moderated a customer panel Q&A,
Okay.
and I asked this question or something very similar, and I was expecting the response to be, "There's great cost efficiency, there's great scale, productivity, all those things, right?" And
Yeah.
that was embedded in the answer I got back, but very much what you said was part of the answer, which is it's not like this is entirely new. We've been doing this for a couple of years. We're on a journey.
That's right.
This is a meaningful moment in that journey. The other part of the answer was security. They felt they got much, and so I know we've talked about that,
Yeah.
but oftentimes you'll hear cost or efficiency at the top of that list. But they were listing security, knowing how risky we are, especially with supply chain, as the most beneficial thing that this customer over the last 2 years have been on a journey of getting all of their customers into the cloud infrastructure, SaaS as well.
And did they successfully make them all, or are they?
Yes, so they fired two
Okay.
and they walked and they are now on the other end of that journey, and the biggest benefit was the value of feeling more secure, being able to oversee it from one central place as opposed to having it
Understood.
distributed. Yes, it was really cool.
Yeah, that's key.
All right, let's see what pandemic related changes here to stay and how should we adapt.
Oh, the word that comes to mind is flexibility. I'll
Mm,
tell you, you got both spectrums, right? I mean, the pandemic switched the pendulum from left to right, from left all the way one way, and now we're moving all the way back. And I think, look, there's a balance, and I think everyone has to understand that you have to be flexible and you have to understand people's needs and be empathetic to your employees, to your customers, because things have changed in terms of the way we operate as companies, as individuals, as leaders. And I think the word that sticks out to me is flexibility. That is the one thing that has to stay, because I know in many cases, businesses or leaders, we were inflexible. We had a style or a way of doing something and felt this is the way it has to be.
right.
So that flexibility really, I think, is the one key thing to take away from even during the pandemic. People had hard stances, and had to be flexible to understand the other side, because otherwise you got all caught up in it all versus trying to just find out what the hell you want to do yourself more than anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've gone through some of this journey ourselves as a company, right? We've gone full remote as part of the pandemic. We've come
Right.
back, and we're trying to be flexible. We're trying the
That's it.
hybrid approach because it matters. The in-person time does matter, but the flexibility matters too.
That's right.
And so finding that balance is super important. I think where we've gotten to and where a lot of companies are trying to get to, not that we've nailed this, but it's about outcomes. If we can achieve the outcomes with a certain type of approach, and that's why we don't have a prescribed everybody must do it this way. We're looking at it for each group a little bit differently, and each
That's
location
right.
a little bit differently. But we're also trying to reinforce the fact that we think development matters. We think time with people matters. We think relationships matters, and those things do get some benefit with that time in person.
Yeah.
The other thing I might just call out here is for our partners, I don't think the idea of them having to manage all of the on-prem and all of the at-home is ever going away.
That's right.
They're always going to have that complexity, and that brings with it a lot of new opportunities, but also some challenges along the way. And we've heard quite a bit about it actually for the last couple of days.
Yeah, their worlds have gone completely 360. Just
It's amazing.
Yeah, just what they've had to, and all the new technologies that came about during the pandemic, and the changes to their networks,
Right.
because the users started to drive usage of different products and technology that got adopted. And
In the midst of amazing security challenges.
that's right.
Right? Unprecedented attacks and bad actors all over the world that
Yeah,
are aware of how the way we work is changing
that's right.
and taking advantage of it. So it's great to see our MSP stepping up and keeping our small and medium-sized enterprises safe and
That's right.
operating soundly. All right. What is your number one tip for MSPs going into 2023? Wow.
Yeah, my number one tip. I think this is something that comes back being in the industry for as long as I've have is looking at the bottom line, making sure you understand that your business is number one, you have to deliver a great service so that you could deliver that to your client because that's why MSPs are there. But you're a business, you're here to make money. And how are you making money? How can you reinvest back in your business to deliver that best of class service? And I think some MSPs have lost that. They want to do these extra special things, these other pieces, and they look back and they made no money. And at the end of the day, they're working really hard. They're working 80 hours, 60 hours a week. And so understanding operationally what's happening within their business so that they can turn that profit. And look, that profit doesn't mean it has to be put it back in their pocket. It could also mean reinvest it back in the business to make a better business, to deliver a better service. So my recommendation is, especially with what we're facing as an industry, I would say that looking at the bottom line is really important.
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't know if I can come up with a better one than that, but it builds on it, or maybe it helps you achieve that. I really liked what Jimmy had to say yesterday. Focus and stay true to what you know is the
Right.
right solution. Build that solution, and if you need to fire some customers along the way, you're going to be better off for it in the long run because you will be more efficient. You'll be able to scale more easily, and you'll probably start to get a much better understanding of who your ideal customer is, and
Right.
you'll get smarter and smarter about going after them.
Right.
Yeah, so it feeds that idea of looking at the bottom line.
And
Is
it does. And
one
then
of the
they
ways to
become
get
true to
there.
themselves and they deliver real good business. And you can see it on the floor. You can see the ones that are have made that transition. They understand it and they don't get it always right, but they're on a path. And
I got to tell you, I'm so impressed by some of these partners of ours who are 5, 10, 15 people, but their maturity with the way they think about things like their ideal customer profile and things like the way they're going to package their products and price their products and things like the way they're going to go attract those folks into their ecosystem.
well,
It's pretty impressive.
I'll say one thing that always sticks out for me in this industry is they don't have a product to sell. Their product is their service, and they got to productize that. And that's no different 5 years ago as it is today, and it won't be in 5 years from now. And so I think the more they understand that their offering is a productized service offering, that is how they can, that's why they got to automate. That's why they got to deliver better bottom line. That's how they're going to do it. And it really allows them to stay in their lane and grow their business.
Yeah, it's a good one. I got it easy here. You get to answer the questions first, and I
Yeah.
just get to build on them. What makes Empower different than other conferences?
Oh, wow. We're finally back face to face. Like I got to tell you, going into the super elite session yesterday, there's a little bit of not deja vu, sorry, a little bit of a flash from the past. I started at N-able as an account executive. Half that room I probably closed myself.
That's awesome.
And so that doesn't matter what country they were in, whether in the Nordic, South Africa, they were in Australia. I know most of them. And to me, what's most inspiring or most different about it is that we're finally back face to face. And the word enable, what it stands for is that partnership. And as we spun the company out from SolarWinds, when John, our CEO, said, we went through that whole search to come up with a new name and then said we're gonna use enable. I actually had this feeling of a strange feeling in my body. And I said, hold on a minute. Do you know what that means? If we're not going to embody partnership, we can't do this, John. I said, we can't. And so coming back to this event, that partnership word comes right back because some of the partners like Dave Brewer, Joe Ambersoli, or some of these customers that I've known for so long and seeing their business, they've trusted us as a partner to help them grow. And that's why they're still with us.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to do my bit here and build on your answer again.
Sure.
That what makes this conference different, and it's great because I've actually heard this from a number of the attendees here, is they love it because it is focused on their success and it is small enough where they can get time with the people at N-able that they need time with.
Right.
And they can form and build and maintain those relationships with their peers. Frankly, we all know at least half the value is going to be from the peers themselves. At least we're good. The peers are better. Yeah. And they're bringing that real life set of examples and set of recommendations to their.
And how busy and however complex our worlds are, being a partner is hard. You look at that, being a partner with your significant other. is very difficult. It takes a lot of energy. So imagine with a partner in a business relationship.
Yep.
That means that when they have a problem, you got to tackle it head on for them because that's what they're looking for, or they're looking for value. And look, they're smart. They understand that we're busy trying to run a business, but really stepping up and being that partner, I think that's what's made us unique and why we're still around today and why we're relevant.
That's a great one. All right. What is more important, customer experience or cost?
That's a trick question. I think customer experience is by far more important than cost. I think cost, look, if the costs are completely out of whack, it doesn't matter anyways because
Right.
you're not
You'll
going
be upside down.
it's going to be upside down. But if you're a little bit more expensive or you're right in line where it needs to be, customer experience, what it gives you is it gives your customer trust that you know what you're doing. It makes their lives easier and they're just going to consume more. And that's the same on the MSP side, whether it's on the vendor side. So giving the customer experience is so important because they are able to take something from that and they're willing to pay a little bit more for that within the right balance.
Yeah.
So a bit of a trick question because if you're trying to manage the bottom line, you think it's going to be cost, but you could get into it and it's going to cost you more even though you got that cheaper thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think, they don't always have to be a trade for one another, right? They obviously are. Like to some extent, you want to invest in your partner success team. You want to invest in these areas, obviously in the R&D and these type of things. But a lot of it, and one of the reasons I feel some pride in the way that we operate is the thoughtfulness that we put into the way that we make decisions around how we bring things to market and how we evolve this. We don't always get it right, don't get me wrong, but we sit in a room and we debate. We really think about, is this going to be, and the question we're asking is this going to create the right amount of value for our customers? Are we going to give them an experience that they're going to walk away from and they're going to recognize the value and we're going to feel good about having done that? And it's that exchange. Of course, there's some price to pay for that value. But a lot of times it's not even a cost. It's just, let's make sure that we're at the right time in the journey with this product to go to market, or that we've got the people, the costs that we've got pointed at the things that are going to make the biggest impact. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Last question we've got. This is going to be a doozy. Let's see. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for MSPs in 2023?
I think by far it's in security. I mean, that's the talk of the show here today. And it's really, MSPs are really being faced with the similar challenge they were in the past in becoming an MSP. And now the question is, how do I offer security services?
Right.
And so the biggest challenge for them is, what does my security offering look like? And it's all going to, the word depends come in because it depends if they're in a certain vertical. If they want to play, they're going to have to be.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that word depends.
Yeah.
Adult diapers.
Yes. It all really depends on their ability to understand their customer, and they got to make a choice. They got to be able to deliver that, because if they don't, again, the SMB has a choice, and they're smart, and they're actually out there shopping, and they will find someone that's going to meet their need if they haven't figured that out. And I think that's a really important part.
I don't remember if you remember this trip from a year ago. I was up in Ottawa right about this time.
Right.
And I sat with our partner success managers, about 30 of them in the room, and I said, hey, what are some of the themes you're hearing? And one of the most resounding themes was, our MSPs don't yet know how to sell security. And there's still certainly a portion of them that don't know, but we're hearing more and more that, just like John said, it's a tell, don't sell. You're the expert. You define what great looks like.
That's a great call.
And you require it from your customers, because guess what? It's not only the opportunity for them to grow, but it's their protection.
That's right.
If they don't do it, then they're going to put their own business at risk. And they're obviously putting the SME at risk, and even our business to some extent.
That's right.
So it's a win-win in many cases, even though the risk portion of that win is not so obvious out of the gate, because you're preventing something rather than creating something.
That's right.
Well, it's been fun to spend a little bit of time on the podcast with you here.
We should do more one-on-ones like this. We might just need a couple of mics.
Do them all like this, yeah.
I'll come with 3 questions and you come with 3.
Next time you get to ask the questions.
All right. Good
All
stuff.
right. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it.